And that's how I got to Grandma's house. Wait, you mean to tell me that we're live? You mean like right now? Yeah, nice going, buddy. Here I was telling a story, and you mean to tell me that right now I'm live and the entire story, the entire story, nobody knows what the hell that I was just talking about? They heard the last part about Grandma's house. That's how I got to Okay, okay. That's beautiful. You know what? Screw you, and screw your little prompt cards, too. I bet you're a Kevin Owens fan, ain't you? Yeah, you strike me as one. So get out of here. Ain't nobody wants you here anyway. Nobody wants you or your stupid business. No, I mean it. Leave. Get out of here. And no, I'm not paying for your $2.99 subscription, and I'm not subscribing to your OnlyFans. Can you believe the nerve of some people? Anyway, as I was saying, in today's episode, everyone, my name is Mocha, and in today's episode, we will be looking at NXT New Orleans that happened in 2018. I'm not really sure the timeline. Like, I couldn't tell you August 2018. I couldn't tell you like the November, December. It didn't really seem like it was a holiday event, anything too festive or anything of that nature. NXT New Orleans, though, and the weather outside whenever the camera did go outside seemed like it was pretty stable for a Louisiana swamp, I guess you could say, because that's what I'm told that New Orleans is the city of soul, is the city of jazz, but most of all, it's the city of Mardi Gras. I'm still not sure what that means. Like, I don't speak Spanish, and anytime somebody says Mardi Gras, like, I'm like, is that a type of spaghetti? You know? So, anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to start right now. So, our first match opens up with the NXT North American Championship. So, here's the thing that really got me. They had the NXT North American Championship. I don't really know how to put this, but they already have in the WWE main roster. NXT is not the main roster. It's kind of a secondary or a third-dairy roster that they treat it as. And in a way, it's kind of like it's kind of like the NFL has two divisions. They have the AFC and then they have the NFC. Well, WWE at the time had two shows that they focused on. Let's pretend that the AFC is Monday Night Raw and that the NFC is Friday Night SmackDown. Now, if the NFL were to, let's say, make about 10 or 12 more teams, let's just say, and then they made a third division to put those 10 or 12 teams into. I'm using football because apparently everybody and their mom watches football. I don't know why. Like, I don't understand the appeal to throwing a ball down a field. Oh, but there's a lot of strategy in it. You see, you got to stop the quarterback from sacking the other team's quarterback. And then you got to stop yourself from throwing the ball in the wrong direction. And then you got to run really far, possibly 12 or 14 feet. Like, do you hear yourself right now? Do you hear yourself? Did that sound too difficult? Because it took me 2 minutes to explain it. Doesn't sound that difficult at all. Anyway, I'm using football as a example because I really don't know if anybody, like, worldwide, let's say, for instance, watches, like, oh, yeah, and sorry, I keep calling it football. I kind of have an audience in Europe, and they're probably going to be mad at me that I didn't call it soccer. I That must have slipped my mind. I don't know if you heard it or not, but I just gave myself a face palm. One of those should have had a V8 moments. But I guess you can't please everybody. Anyway, the WWE at the time had something known as the United States Championship. Okay, so, and the United States Championship, this is going to be harder to explain than I thought. Okay, so this match that we're going to talk about is for the North American Championship. So it goes even further. Like, if you was to take a map, and if you was to not zoom in so much, but zoom out, you would find out that North America is the continent that we live on. The United States is... well, I guess it's not really the continent, but it's more or less the land. I never really gave it much thought, if you think about it. Like, hey, I live in South Africa. Oh, what part of South Africa? Like the United States is 50 states long, Um, it's kind of hard to explain, at least for a small pea-brained person like me. I guess, and you know what? This is not the History Channel podcast, so I don't really see a point in telling you about the Louisiana Purchase or, how the United States came to be. You see, when a continent and another continent love each other very much, they arrange a date to, bound chicka wow wow, chicka chicka wow wow, chicka chicka wow wow. And then after that, they play sexy music, and then see, when a daddy and a mommy love each other very much. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to stall for time, I promise you. I'm just trying to give a little bit of social commentary on the fact that I guess I don't know the difference between a continent and a state, or, like, I don't know how to explain how the United States is also North America. Oh, god dang it. It's it's a little bit confusing. But anyway, the NXT North American Championship is on the line. Now, who's the champion? Don't know. Do you know why I don't know? It's because they never say. They literally say that this is the first ever NXT North American North American title match. So, it's a ladder match, by the way. And you remember how I talked about multi-men matches? This one does a good job. I mean, it's not bogged down by a whole bunch of hoopla. It's not bogged down by a whole bunch of hoopla. It's really, really good at getting its point across whenever it comes to a professional wrestling match, and being able to let everybody shine in a way that's not harmful to being like, hey, look, we got 5 people in the ring right now. Which one of them's going to jump up and get the title? Hey, look over here. Looky what's happening over here. And unlike the last pay-per-view that we looked at, that had a 6-pack elimination challenge for the vacant SmackDown Women's Championship. it doesn't feature like a bunch of one-on-one matches with a third woman just happen to roll into the ring at the right time and then just throw someone else out of the ring, only for that to happen again. A third woman to come in, throw the second or third person out of the ring, dodge one hit or one kick, and then roll out of the ring herself, and then just pretend like she's unconscious for 5 minutes. No disrespect to the women of that match, which that match would include Becky Lynch, Natalya, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and Nikki Bella. And once Becky wins, she ends up saying, "Becky Balboa, baby." But anyway, this one's for the North American NXT North American Championship. So now you know what it's for, because I've already said it around 3, 4, or 5 times. Just let me say it one more time just to make sure. This is for the NXT North American Championship. And it's the first ever NXT North American Championship match. We have EC3 versus Killian Dane. And I almost lost my shit whenever I heard EC3's music playing, because I was like, "Oh crap, this is an EC3 match?" But then I realized something after 2 people came out and they still didn't ring the bell. This is a multi-man match. Holy crap. It kind of affects the rating for those of you who don't know. But anyway, it has EC3, Killian Dane, Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream, Lars Sullivan, and Ricochet. If those all sound like they're terrible names, it's because they probably are. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and highlight some of the spots that happened in this match, and let's start from the top. By the way, this match is 44 minutes long. I think that they could have shaved it about 20 minutes, and it still would have been a great match. But Velveteen Dream was a human highlight reel this entire fucking match. One of the spots that I remember very, very good, hang on and I'll get to it because it's like the third one down here. A shooting star press to the outside, a backdrop into a ladder, onto a ladder, a suicide dive onto Lars Sullivan, and then here's the one that I remember the most. So EC3 and Adam Cole are working together, and for those of you who don't know, Adam Cole has this spot that he always does, and it's not during his match, but rather it's at the beginning of his match, or whenever the announcer says, "Adam Cole," the crowd always pops, and they always go, "Baby!" Hence my Twitter name, P1_Bebe, because I thought that it would put me over. Don't hate me for it. But the only thing that this match was missing was one of those spots where where Adam Cole looks at the camera and goes, "Adam Cole, baby," just like he always does, because Adam Cole, baby, is the man. Especially if you get to thinking about the fact that Adam Cole was one of 6 men in this match. Him and EC3, Adam Cole and EC3, sorry for not specifying, start working together. They start taking this ladder and just beating everybody in the head with it. And, I mean, they're dropping like flies. EC3 and Adam Cole stop for 1 second, and then EC3 does this taunt about 20 minutes into the match, maybe 16 minutes into the match. And It's the most beautiful thing that you'll ever see in your entire life. Probably. He goes, EC3, baby. And Adam Cole just looks at him in disgust. Like, did you really just steal my spot? And then they start fighting. Cole throws a super kick party. So for those of you who don't know, Adam Cole is also in a group at this point in time, or at least he was in a group at this point in time. Not only was he in Undisputed Era, don't worry, we'll get to that, but also he was in a group in a company known as Ring of Honor. And in Ring of Honor, he was in a group known as the Super Kick Party. And the Super Kick Party is someone that he's traveled the world with. He's traveled up and down the world with them in Ring of Honor. Of course, Ring of Honor now is All Elite Wrestling. And that's like old news. Sorry for bringing that up again. It's interesting to see how everything just fell into place, like full circle. Cole throws a super kick party. Purple Rainmaker, elbow, and I spelled purple wrong. I know that I did because I spelled it Perpul. That sounds like purple. But, I mean, it's close enough. At least I could read it. Purple Rainmaker, and also the Rainmaker kind of gave away what the first word was. Purple Rainmaker elbow drop from it was like at least a 9-foot, 10-foot ladder that was placed ever so precariously, if you will. Sorry for using big words. It was put like in the corner, and like I said, Velveteen Dream was a human highlight reel. He was basically like the biggest part of this match, and you would figure that he would win just for all the spots that he pulled. And he did it to Lars Sullivan. A shooting star press to EC3 on a ladder, and then after that, a rolling Death Valley driver onto the ladder from Velveteen Dream to Ricochet. From Velveteen Dream to Ricochet, a rolling Death Valley driver. I don't know if my audio picked that up or not, so I said it again because I'm looking at the audio chart, and at times it gets really big. At times it gets really soft. Really soft. Because I don't know whether or not it picked that up or not. The ladder from Velveteen Dream to Ricochet. Oh, okay. It says Lars Sullivan with a freak accident, which looks like his freak accident just honestly looks like a sidewalk slam Uranagi, but I guess he calls it the freak accident, so I guess I'll just roll with it, and that's what I put down here on my notes. And Lars Sullivan is a big boy, for those of you who don't know. They say that he comes from the Rocky Mountains, and I can see why. He looks like he's a Rocky Mountain. On to Lars Sullivan and Velveteen Dream. So basically he's about to hit I think it's Adam Cole with the freak accident until EC3 interrupts him, and he turns around to find EC3 behind him, and he's almost got like this ladder precariously placed between the ring, the wrestling ring, and the table the announcer's table, and there's like a gap, and he closes the gap because it's like he's built a bridge with a ladder that runs from one side of a wrestling ring onto the other side of an announce table, if that makes sense. Imagine you have two tables, if you will, and they're like 12 feet apart, and you have like a 12-foot ladder, and you put the 12-foot ladder to support the two tables. Imagine that. Imagine putting a man right there in between that ladder, and then another man who's about to jump from a height that's around 3 or 4 foot off the ground, and then jump onto that particular person that I just mentioned is already on said ladder. That's what you get. That's what I'm talking about. If you imagined that scenario, then congratulations. Lars Sullivan broke 2 people in half. Of course, not counting himself, because EC3 tried to sneak up behind him, and whenever he did, he picked up EC3, who, by the way, weighs about 260 pounds. And he put EC3, and it was either Velveteen Dream or it was Adam Cole. And he put Cole and EC3, or Velveteen Dream and EC3 both through that table. Or through that ladder, I should say. In your all scenario, in case you didn't understand what it was that I was talking about, or you was having a hard time visualizing it. That's why I gave you the visual aid, rather. Nonetheless, Lars Sullivan with a huge, I put Uranagi first, but the announcer called it a freak accident, which is his finishing maneuver. It just looks like a sidewalk slam to me, but who am I to judge? Velveteen Dream, oh, okay, it was Velveteen Dream using EC3. And then Killian Dane puts Cole and Ricochet through the ladder on the other side of the ring. Killian Dane, who by the way weighs about 350 pounds, he put Ricochet and Adam Cole through a table in almost the same fashion, or not a table, a ladder. God dang it, a ladder. He put them through a ladder. I feel like Dora the Explorer right now, because she's all the time like, where do we go next? And then you gotta click, and then whenever you click, she says, that's right, Big Red Ocean, Big Red Barn, or whatever it is that she's always talking about. I swear I feel like Dora's on drugs. Anyway, it's not the point. That was the first match, and whenever I seen the timestamp and it said 44 minutes had already elapsed, the rest of the pay-per-view was 3 hours and 5 minutes, and that includes a street fight. This one was just for the North American Championship, which I still don't know why they did that. Why couldn't they just make, like, had it been me, it wouldn't have been the North American Championship? That's so confusing. Had it been me, I would have just made the NXT United States title, or the NXT United States Championship. No matter how you say it, it's still the same word. A title and a championship are the same thing. And a little bit of humor for us wrestling fans. Why do wrestlers fight for belts when none of them wear pants? Got him. But anyway, we're going to get on to the NXT Women's Championship match. So you want to talk about making a rivalry personal? Well, I guess I've got time to explain this. So, in their build to their years prior, NXT tried to do exactly what Ring of Honor did years before NXT did it, but NXT tried to do a match with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And the problem with that is they tried to make it personal. And do you know how they tried to make it personal? I'm not joking when I say that they failed to make it personal. So the story is that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were best friends. And don't worry, this is going to play into today's events, and I have a point, and I'm going to prove it. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are best friends until Kevin Owens selfishly turned his back on his supposed quote-unquote best friend. And had that been the case, it's okay, cool, okay. You ever seen that meme wherever he goes, okay, okay? Well, that was kind of my reaction whenever I heard this audio clip. Sami Zayn points to the fact that on the first day of school, Sami Zayn's son, or I'm sorry, that's my fault. That's a little bit. Can we edit that out? Oh, that is right. I don't have an editor anymore. I just fired him. I told him to get lost. He's probably a Kevin Owens fan. That's not the point. But anyway, Kevin Owens' son, who's at this point maybe 5 or 6 years old, I guess, because Sami Zayn mentioned that he went to middle school for the first time. Okay, so maybe he's 11. Who cares? But at this point, Sami Zayn mentions the fact, he asks Kevin, he says in his worst acting voice whatsoever, he says, Kevin, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And then he says, is this because your son wanted to wear a Sami Zayn t-shirt to school on his first day of school instead of wearing a Kevin Owens t-shirt? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to present you with that evidence. And I'm going to bring it up maybe one more time in this episode at least. You want to talk about making a rivalry personal? That's not how you do it. You don't talk about people's kids and them going to school and wanting to wear someone else's t-shirt. Oh my God, he wore a John Cena t-shirt the first day of school. What a fucking dork. You know, like you don't... How exactly is that supposed to make it personal? Like, it's not like... You know, whatever t-shirt that I choose to wear, that's on me, you know? Like, it's not got nothing to do with my dad. I don't really know how to explain that any further. That's just... And if you don't believe me, you can look that audio clip up yourself. It was for their NXT TakeOver match. I'm not sure which one. Whether or not they had like 10. I'm pretty sure they only had like 1 or 2. But anyway, Ember Moon versus Shayna Baszler. Now, how did we get here? Ember Moon was attacked at the Performance Center by Baszler. Shayna Baszler claims that Ember Moon got away from her and got lucky when it came to NXT Philadelphia, which was the event that happened before this one 3 weeks prior. So 3 weeks prior to NXT New Orleans, Baszler said that Ember Moon got lucky. Did she really? Did she, Shayna? Did she get lucky? I guess we'll have to find out. Well, the first thing that I noticed was the fact that this is something that I love. Right here, I gave them brownie points for this one. That's something that I love. I guess it's personal preference or whatever. They would later screw it up, though. But the champion, Ember Moon, comes out, and whenever the lights go out, usually her theme song starts. But instead of that happening, the lights went out this time, and her theme song was kind of, I wouldn't say slowed down, but it was kind of turned down. And you had this woman who was out there, and she was actually singing Ember Moon's theme song, and Ember Moon was actually singing beside of her. And if you haven't heard Ember Moon's theme song, it's something like, I feel the light from the fire gold. I heard the light said set you free. Ember sparks the fire, ember sparks the flames. Now burn. It's something that only passionate wrestling fans would understand. But to hear it played live, that was honestly gorgeous. I wasn't expecting to hear that. And yes, this is from 2018. As I stated before, maybe I didn't get around to watching it. I don't know. Every match on this card, honestly, isn't that bad. But, you know something? You're going to notice a pattern here. In case you haven't already caught on, I don't look at Kevin Owens matches, and I don't look at events that feature cancer. At the last event that we looked at that had Kevin Owens on it, as a matter of fact, I remember on this podcast particularly, I couldn't tell you what episode that it is, but it was NXT Tokyo where what's his name? Finn Balor defended his NXT championship against Kevin Owens, and I remember specifically saying, and the damnedest thing happened. Well, I mean, my phone all of a sudden fast forwarded to the end of the match, and it showed, wouldn't you know it, it showed Finn Balor climbing the ladder and Balor grabbing the title, and whenever the camera showed him winning the championship, the ladder match, his opponent had a big old blur beside of him, and I can't think of that guy's name, because I know it's something like Rowans or man, if only I could remember his name. And the blur, like you can't see his face. They got more blurred lines than Robin Thicke. I mean, I don't get it. It was something like Blowens. Kevin Blowens, perhaps? No, that can't be right. I'll have to think about it. And it was NXT Tokyo. I don't remember making that one of my one of my episode descriptions, or one of my, like, I could probably tell you all the titles of the episodes that I have, and that's not one of them. Nonetheless, Ember Moon versus Shayna Baszler. Ember was attacked at the Performance Center, and they tried so hard to make this one personal. But if they wanted to make it personal, they shouldn't have filmed that. They should have showed security camera footage of it, instead of it looking like it was a high-def television, like spot. The the worst thing that they could have done was been like, all right, everybody get out the cameras and there you go. But they did post it to YouTube, and they also posted this other thing to YouTube where one of Ember's good friends, Dakota Kai, Dakota got injured, and it was at the hands of Shayna Baszler to make this seem like it was really getting heated rivalry personally, or whatever. Shayna choked her out, and even though she kept tapping and she kept tapping and she kept like, giving the international signal for, hey, let me go, we're just supposed to be here to practice. That's what the Performance Center was fucking built for, was for practice, and so that you could hone your craft. But, Dakota Kai kept tapping, and she apparently went without oxygen for over 3 minutes. And, that's dangerous, Like, you could kill someone brain dead, before officials were able to get Shayna Baszler off of her. And not only that, but 2 weeks later, she would break Dakota Kai's arm. So, but that, even though it was put on the YouTube channel, it wasn't put on there like the Performance Center video was. The Performance Center video was treated as though that it was like, hey, watch this. Watch what Shayna Baszler did. And it was like breaking news. Shayna Baszler gets fined. But anyway, I spent probably enough time talking about that, but it's just as an example of what you can do in order to, if you're trying to sell someone that, hey, these two really don't like each other, like, let's make this personal. It would be even more personal if it wasn't for the title, if you think about it, because then they would have not the title motivation, but rather other motives, other motivation. But, she, sings, Ember Moon's theme song live, and Ronda Rousey at ringside, out of, 15 of her MMA matches, 13 was by submission. Of course, I'm not talking about Ronda Rousey, I'm talking about Shayna Baszler. They say that to tell you how dangerous that Shayna really is. And Shayna Baszler did have an MMA career that consisted of 15 victories, and 13 apparently were by submission. Either 2 were by decision or knockout. And I guess I would have to look that up, and I did not. So, anyway, they rang the bell twice. You done fucked up. You know why you done fucked up? Because once you ring a bell 2 times, rather than ringing it 1 time, or at least one set of 3 times. Okay, so if you ring a bell 1 time in wrestling, boxing, something of that nature, you're doing good. But the announcer goes in, he says, ding, 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 and then after that they go, the following contest is scheduled for 1 fall. And then they go, introducing first, the champion. And then they introduced Ember Moon. And then they say, and the challenger, Shayna Baszler. And then after that, after they've already rung the bell, I'm telling you, I went back and I watched it again so that I was like, wait a minute, didn't they already ring the bell? So, of course, I fast forward 30 seconds. I rewind 30 seconds. I don't know where I'm at today. And then after that, I heard it, ding, ding, ding. And then he announces their names and where they're from, not their weight, which, by the way, is totally cool. I don't want to know how much Ember Moon weighs. She looks like a toothpick anyway. It's not the point. But whenever the guys come out, they got to tell you that they weigh 300 pounds. Like, that's sexist. Stop doing that. You don't got to be sexist. Don't be sexist. Hashtag don't be sexist. Nonetheless, what I mean to say is that Ronda Rousey was at ringside and she was getting ready for her, according to them, she was getting ready for her WrestleMania match, which she did have one at that time. Nonetheless, they also, for whatever reason, they tell about Rousey being a member of the Four Horsewomen. Okay, so for those of you unaware, the Four Horsewomen consisted of 4 women. Charlotte Flair, who started the group, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, Becky Lynch. Those are the 4 horsewomen, okay? Unless she was an inductee, like, hey, why don't you join us and be one of us 4 horsewomen. I'm not sure why the announcer says this, but he really needs to do his research, because back whenever I was watching NXT, 2017, 2016, 2015, back whenever NXT was actually relevant, and not this NXT 2.0 dog shit that we have today, but rather NXT in its heyday, like I'm talking about today. It was honestly some of the best professional wrestling that you would ever see in your entire life. It's so good that I've spent 42 fucking minutes right now, going on 42 minutes, talking about the second match of a 5-match card. There is 5, right? 1, 2, 3. Yep, 5-match card. And you want to talk about personal? It gets very personal from here, especially the main event. So, Sami Zayn, if you're listening and your childlike mind just so happens to scroll across this, you stupid fucking bastard, take notes, because I'm going to teach you how to make a rivalry personal. Because I've already made it personal between you and me. You stupid son of a bitch. But anyway, back to the match. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, honestly. Even though it technically already ended before it began, because whenever you ring the bell twice, the timekeeper did, the second bell ring is for the decision, just so you know. So technically it should end in a draw, and in the event of a draw, for those of you who don't know, the champion retains the title. So by all means, Ember Moon should be the champion in this here, because the timekeeper fucked up in this here contest. However, Baszler made a promise that she was leaving with Ember Moon's arm or the NXT Women's Championship, and she left with the title over her waist. Good job, Shayna Baszler. 4 out of 5 stars. Great storytelling. I can't say it enough. Even though I probably could sit here all day and say it enough, but I'm not going to do that. We've still got other championship matches to get to. AOP versus Undisputed Era, who is our champions, by the way, versus Pete Dunne and Roddy Strong. So, weeks ago, before this match even began, Undisputed Era, Adam Cole, baby. Yes, we just got done talking about him, but there's something that I forgot to mention. Adam Cole had to pull double duty today, because not only was he in the inaugural North American Championship title match, but also he was, by the way, he won that match, but also he was in the tag team triple threat match, but the announcers fucked up. You done fucked up. I already said it once, I'll say it again. The announcer calls this a triple threat match. It is not a triple threat match. What it is called is a 3-way tag team titles match. Even though it technically falls under the category of a triple threat match, I'm putting that in air quotes, by the way, it is not a singles triple threat match. It is a tag team 3-way team titles match. Technically, it is a titles match. but it would be a three-way team match, I guess. I guess he's right. It would be a triple threat match. Nonetheless, AOP, Authors of Pain, versus Undisputed Era versus Pete Dunne and Roddy Strong. They don't have a cool team name, I guess. But the story here is that Roddy Strong was offered a spot into Undisputed Era weeks before this whole thing ensued. Now, the only reason that Adam Cole has to fill in for someone from Undisputed Era is because Bobby Fish broke his leg in a prior wrestling match. Now, Bobby Fish was one half of Red Dragon. Once again, going back to Ring of Honor, Red Dragon was Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. And it was also kind of a group with Adam Cole swinging in and out of it. But then Adam Cole would stab his supposed best friend, Kyle O'Reilly, in the back in Ring of Honor. And, you know, at least that story was a lot better than the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn story. Nonetheless, yeah, I'm not done with that. I told you I was gonna chew with it a little bit. This is what you call playing with your food, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever you know that you're right, you want to rub it in other people's faces who told you you were wrong. Anyway, what I want to go ahead and do now is look at this match. It's not only for the NXT Tag Team Championships, but it's also for the Dusty Cup. Now, weeks ago, as I said, Roddy Strong was offered a spot into Undisputed Era, and he said no. And they said, well, don't say that just yet. And then they patted him on the back and they walked away. You would think nothing of it. If you were just a casual wrestling fan, you would think, it's probably nothing. But Roddy Strong had a problem too. He didn't have a tag team partner in order to qualify for this match in the first place. So, what did he do? Management decided to put Pete Dunne on the case. So Pete Dunne has a reputation for being quite the brawler. For those of you who don't know, Pete Dunne is quite the man. And Dunne had this match all but won, and he basically only had to do one more move to put away his opponents. So he grabs, in the midst of it all, he ended up picking up one of the champions, putting them down for the what he calls the bitter end. It's really just a pump handle slam, and he got the 1, he got the 2, and then after that, Roddy Strong comes in, his tag team partner comes in last minute and breaks it up. And then he picks up his tag team partner, and then he hits him with his own finishing move, End of Heartache. And after he hits him with the End of Heartache, Kyle O'Reilly drapes himself. Holy crap. Roddy Strong drapes Kyle O'Reilly over Pete Dunne's lifeless, living body. And afterwards, he gets the 1, he gets the 2, and he gets the 3. The announcer is cursing, and he's mad, and he's pissed off about it. And then he's like, no, not like this, not like this. Roderick Strong has just stabbed Pete Dunne in the back. And really, they weren't really like a tag team per se. And the only reason that Roddy Strong and Pete Dunne didn't win was because of one reason. I couldn't tell you why the AOP didn't win, because they were pretty dominant at the time. But the only reason that Roddy Strong and Pete Dunne didn't win is because Pete Dunne is already the United Kingdom champion. So if they were to win, they would have won the NXT tag team titles, and that would mean that Pete Dunne would be going from the UK all the way to America on a week's notice, and that's strenuous if you didn't already know, because the UK is like a day in front of America. So on weekends he would have to go over there, and then on weekdays he would have to come over here, and that would be a nightmare for anyone. Nonetheless, we come to our co-main event of the evening. Oh, and I guess I should have gave that match a rating. Where's the rating? Holy shit, I didn't give this one a rating. Shit, son. I'm going to have to go back and watch it. Fucker, man. As we get NXT champion Cien Almas versus the man who brings thunder whenever you speak his name. The man who makes little children cry whenever you speak his name. The man who shatters glass anytime his name is mentioned in a closed room. The man who topples mountains anytime you speak his name. Aleister Black. Luckily, this time, it didn't break my TV, my VCR, or, for that matter, it didn't break the lights in my room, and it didn't break the mirror in my room. So, here's to hoping that no mountains or no children went to screaming. No mountains went to toppling, I mean. Anyway, Aleister Black, whoops, sorry, I said it again, versus Cien Almas. Cien, for those of you who don't know, is 100 in Spanish. At least I'm almost certain that it is. Zelina is a mouthpiece for Cien Almas. Okay, so for those of you who's just you're not aware of who the fuck Zelina is, she is... she's just a firecracker. That's all that I can say. But see, Cien cannot speak English very well, so he needs somebody to speak for him. Usually whenever people don't know how to talk, or they don't really, they can't persuade, like, the management team in WWE to, like, give them a microphone and let them talk, because they're like, I don't know about that. But anyway, his English isn't very good. So they gave him a Latino looking and a Latino speaking and a Latino understanding manager in Zelina Vega. And she is a mouthpiece for Cien Almas, who is the champion. And here's the funny part right here. I don't know if they were married at the time, but Aleister Black, there's no breaking of any mirrors anywhere. Anyway, Black and Zelina were married years later. So I have to think that working with Black, Almas and working with Black had to bring Zelina that much closer to him whenever they were working together to choreograph this match. Especially seeing as though that she gets involved like 4 times. And also an interesting note to make here. Zelina interferes 4 times and helps by spiking Aleister twice with a Rana, which is a move in which that whenever you run at your opponent, and then you, for whatever reason, you're supposed to, like, attack them with your legs, with their head. They're supposed to put you're supposed to put your legs between their head, and then you're supposed to use that momentum to drive yourself forward, and then they're supposed to go limp. So she did that twice. To a man who, need I remind you, is 270 pounds. In Aleister Black. I still don't hear the screaming children. Putting Cyan's foot on the rope before the 3 count. Now, for those of you who don't understand that, the announcer said nobody kicks out of the Black Mass. Now, the Black Mass is Aleister Black's finishing maneuver. And whenever Black hits it, he's only had one other person kick out of it. And, of course, that one other person was Johnny Gargano, who we'll talk about here in just a second. But whenever Gargano kicked out of it, they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that at this time there was only one other person that had kicked out of it. But instead of it being a kick out, it was a rope break that saved Almas's title reign at that time. And aside from the constant interference from Zelina, this match was really, really good. Honestly, this put Almas in a hard position because usually he doesn't wrestle like this. But for the first time that I seen, Almas was actually wrestling in a manner that he's not used to, which was the manner of like putting his opponent on the mat and trying not to let them get up, because usually Almas is a high flyer. Usually he's like, so I was like, where's all of his flashy moves at? Where's all of the suicide dive and the baseball slide drop kick and the corkscrew, like frog splash or anything else for that matter? I couldn't explain it. It's hard to see somebody like Cyan Almas be out wrestled by anybody, let alone someone as talented as Aleister Black. But only one other person had kicked out of the Black Mass other than, it wasn't a kick out. Once again, it was a rope break, because technically there are two different things. A kick out is basically wherever you can lift your shoulder up off the mat, and the only reason that he got his kick out, if that's what you want to call it, I'll put that in air quotes, the only reason he even got a break was because Zelina moved his foot at the last minute, or at the last second, and the referee didn't see it. Nonetheless, I take you, ladies and gentlemen, even though this was the NXT Championship, this was not your main event. Because our main event is not about titles. It's not about championships. But I also put some side notes here that I gave this match 4 out of 5 stars. It would have gotten 5 out of 5 had it not been for Zelina's constant interference. It was a beautiful match. It was so good. I was thirsty for more. I fell in love with this match because it was so fucking good. You can't top it. This next match is a unsanctioned match. Now, unsanctioned usually means off the record, or for that matter. Well, think about the word sanctioned. What does the word sanctioned mean? It usually means on the record, or it means legal. So this is a match that's not legal. These two should be arrested. Johnny Gargano faced off against Tommaso Ciampa, and they've traveled the world together. They won the NXT Tag Team titles together. And they worked for 12 fucking years together, traveling the world. Tommaso Ciampa went to Johnny Gargano's wedding whenever he married Candice LeRae, who, by the way, is a fucking gem of a woman. Oh my god. If you've ever seen Candice LeRae, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. She's like gold amongst silver. Nonetheless, Ciampa was Johnny's best man at his wedding. While Ciampa was away getting rehab for his injury, Johnny became NXT champion, but was beat by the man who was beat by Aleister Black earlier in the night. Beat Johnny Gargano for the title at the event before this one. So he didn't even hold the title, not even 30 days before he got beat by Aleister Black. And once again, I don't hear any children screaming. And hopefully no mountains have toppled over. I've said his name like 12 times. At the same time, who's counting? Certainly not me. But anyway, they traveled the world together. They worked for 12 years together. Ciampa was Johnny's best man at his wedding. And while Ciampa was away and Johnny decided that, you know what? I'm going to try to forget all about that greedy Tommaso Ciampa. And I'm going to do something for me, for once in my life. Johnny Gargano is going to be Johnny Wrestling one more time. And so he won the NXT championship. He became the pinnacle, the face of NXT. And once Johnny became champion, well, Tommaso Ciampa became jealous. Even though he had already lost his title, and for that matter, he apparently had lost his job too, Johnny Gargano never gave up. And at arenas across the world, people would constantly chant, "Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Wrestling," toward Ciampa. And Ciampa, with a microphone in his hand, toward the end of the hype package, he was shown in the ring, and then he's like, stop saying his name. He said, stop, he's gone, he's not coming back. And wouldn't you know it, who appears out of the crowd holding a Johnny Wrestling sign? Johnny Wrestling. Couldn't have seen that one coming, right? But anyway, he gets into the ring and then he starts beating the hell out of Tommaso Ciampa while the announcer screams with I wish that I could do this, honestly. I wish that I had like an echo effect that I could do. It'd be so cool. But Johnny Gargano attacking Tommaso Ciampa, and the announcer, won't these two ever stop fighting? And then I was like, why? Why with the echo, and why on fighting? Why wouldn't it be on stop? Won't these two ever stop? And then have him say fighting? But anyway, it's not the point, I guess. Once he got back from rehab, though, he got jealous that Johnny had the title, and then he was basically like, if you want me in this match, if you want me in a match with you one more time, he said, I'm going to need you to do something for me. And then Johnny said, name your price. And then he ends up saying, I want you to put your career on the line. So basically, it was career, high stakes match. If Johnny Wrestling loses, his NXT career is over. And see, that's where I would have put the echo. Over, 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 over. And then I would have made it fade like a little bit at a time every time that it said the word over. But anyway, so to get Ciampa in a match, he put his career on the line. Paints Johnny as the perfect underdog with the biggest heart and the biggest soul. This is honestly the good storytelling that I've been talking about this entire time. Something that, I mean, I guess almost threw up in my mouth trying to say his name. Sami Zayn could learn from. And for that matter, so could Kevin Owens. But they won't learn anything. But that's okay. I'll teach a new generation of people so that we don't have to deal with Cancer Owens anymore. Or anyone like him. We get asshole chant. So, as Tommaso Ciampa is making his entrance, you hear these people, and then they're saying, asshole, asshole, asshole. And then after that, they start saying, fuck you, Ciampa. Fuck you, Ciampa. And then after that, they start saying, you suck, you suck, you suck. So, basically, we know how they feel about Tommaso Ciampa. Me, I like the guy. Anyone who can invoke a reaction like that, they're up on my list of people that I like. Okay? So, you notice how... You ever notice how I talk about Kevin Owens, but I don't exactly give him a derogatory... Like, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about, oh, fuck you, Kevin Owens. You're out here doing all this, and nobody likes you for it. Why don't you just quit? If you just quit, I swear I'll quit making fun of you. You pudding ass. You stupid idiot. Yeah, I don't sit here and call him names. I don't sit here and say that he sucks. Of course, I've said that he has no talent, but I've proven that. I've proven that he has no talent. The man can barely touch his toes. He can't even do a frog splash right. I would highly doubt that anybody who can't even do the simplest of wrestling moves can even come close to an intellectual level that would make 2 + 2 = 15. So you see, I make fun of Kevin Owens because he doesn't know what he's doing in a wrestling ring. It's like he's a snail in a winter snowstorm. He looks confused. He looks disoriented. Whenever he talks, I can't tell whether or not he's being sarcastic or whether or not he has a heavy Canadian accent. Or is this how all Canadians talk? Maybe it's just something to do with being a Canadian? Or maybe, for that matter, he was never taught how to run a successful promo. And someone needs to teach him what it feels like to put emotion into your voice and invoke a reaction from people like this. They're literally saying, fuck you, Ciampa. They're literally telling him that he sucks in every way, fashion, and form. The only thing that I hate about this match and the first match is that they're too damn long. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed them, regardless of the fact that they're too damn long. Remember that guy who said, the rent is too damn high. This match is too damn long. He gets powerbombed onto a pillar of concrete, and these people say you deserve it. This man took everything away from Johnny Gargano. Everything. And he tried to take his career away from him. That's how you make a rivalry personal. On top of that, I have yet to meet, in my years and years and years of watching, observing, studying, reading up on professional wrestling, I have yet to meet but only one person, and I mean this, I've only met one person who hates Johnny Gargano and believes that he is not some Humpty Dumpty overlooked talent, or that they believe that Johnny Gargano is a no talent, washed up loser. And I can assure you that he has plenty of talent. For a man who's only 190 pounds, he's really fucking good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. Time for me to sign off. Tell me if you liked today's episode. Tweet me at P1_Baby. Tell me if you liked tomorrow's episode. Send me something on Instagram, letting me know how you truly feel. My birthday is also April 22nd. Okay, that's a cut. That's a wrap. And I think I'll see you all when I see you all again. I've been Mocha. And just remember, keep your bedroom door open because I might come in.